Hello, in a previous video I showed you how to calculate the exact value of sine, inverse sine functions. Now, inverse cosine function. So we're going to use the same approach to get to the answer here. A couple of things again to remind you is that this is not like this right here. It's not cosine x. It's not the inverse like this, in which case it would be 1 over cosine x. This is not what you have, okay? Just to remind you, this is not what you have, okay? So in this case, again, you have to consider a few steps. First thing, I like to call them, to say a few steps, because really the first thing to do is that to treat this as an angle, to make sure you treat this as an angle. So it's cosine, inverse cosine, I'm saying, of negative square root of 3 over 2. So first thing to do, okay? Then 2, you got to remember that what you have here is an angle you're trying to get. You're trying to get that angle, but it's the angle whose cosine will give you negative pi over negative square root of 3 over 2, okay? So you need an angle theta whose cosine, whose cosine, now in this case I'll say cosine of that angle, so the angle whose cosine is actually negative 3 over 2. That's what you're trying to get, but that angle must be, remember this is the where you need to find the angle, where, so whose cosine is this, where that angle must be between 0 and pi, okay? So make sure you get that, between 0, so that angle I'm talking about must be between 0 and pi, all right? So that's the angle you need. So this is the second step. First of all, you treat it as an angle, okay? That's theta. Now you need theta for that angle theta. It has to be between 0 and pi inclusive, okay? So that's where the interval where you have in which you need to get that angle, okay? And the third step is to just go back to your table or any method used to memorize this. As I said, I have a video in which I showed you how to memorize this. So you need to know what that angle is really. So you decide what the angle is, and it should work. Everything you have here should apply, okay? So theta must be, now when you check your table, when you do, some people actually memorize them. I know some instructors will tell you you can actually use a cheat sheet. You can actually bring your the table with you, but for most instructors, you will have to memorize them, okay? So then you know that the angle we're talking about here, and that interval from 0 to pi would be 5 pi over 6, okay? 5 pi over 6. And you can always double check, just do cosine 5 pi over 6. It should give you negative square root of 3 over 2, okay? So very important here. This is just 3 steps. Just make sure you treat this again as an angle, and everything else should be pretty easy to you. Okay? Thank you.